This is the Duchess of Darkness, and I have some scary Christmas stories for you. I hope you enjoy them. The first story is written by the Prowler. The Christmas Party. Every year, a week before Christmas, my family would hold a Christmas party at my grandma's sister's house in Las Vegas. The whole family would show up. Me, my mom, grandma, aunt, great-grandma, uncle, cousins, the whole family. You get the picture. In and out retrieving presents from the cars and bringing them inside. Non-stop action. Everyone having a good time exchanging presents, eating good food. It was a great family tradition. The problem is, with all the traffic in and out, no one ever remembered to lock the front door. Why would you? The house is packed. There's 20 people in here at least. But on this night, the what could go wrong went wrong. It started off like any other year. Family walking in, one by one, presents in hand. Smiles and hugs and small conversations fill the house as family members get reacquainted from the last time they saw one another. Then a Christmas feast is served. Roughhousing with the cousins ensue. Then the best part of the night, present exchange. We would get a present from each family member, which was great, and then a Santa would walk in and pass out the yearly stuffed Christmas animal to the kids. Now, the Santa was usually someone we all knew, like my aunt's housekeeper's husband or other family members. But this time, I had no earthly clue who this man was in the Santa suit. No one noticed anything strange at first, but after a couple of minutes, I nudged one of my cousins in the arm and said, "Who is that playing Santa?" He shrugged his shoulders and said, "Probably Pete, the housekeeper's husband." I looked this Santa up and down and thought, I don't think so. I looked around the room and noticed some of the adults had a weird look on their faces as well, like they knew something was off. The Santa crouched down to us kids and opened his bag. "Look what I've brought you, my precious little tots," he exclaimed. Then he pulled his hand from the bag, holding one of the stuffed bears. His hands were dirty and stained brown or dark red. His suit was covered in stains and smelled of death. I swear this man hadn't showered in 2 months. He raised his head up slowly and looked into our eyes. His face looked strained, teeth gritted so tightly I thought a tooth was going to snap off and hit me in the face. And his eyes, oh, his eyes. They were wide and bloodshot and crazed. This was a pure madman we were looking at. He started to twitch, then he rose slowly and said, "Enjoy the presents, kiddies." Then he turned around and bolted out the front door. The adults began to clamor, their voices panicked, wondering if that was supposed to happen. Was that Pete? If not, then who the hell was that? Just then Agnes, the housekeeper, said that wasn't Pete. Everyone said, "Are you sure?" "That was not my husband," she said. Then a loud scream came from the living room. Our cousin Jessica kept saying, "Where's Tabitha? Where's Tabitha?" Her 3-year-old daughter. She was nowhere to be found. All the men rushed out of the house, led by my uncle. When they got outside, they saw the man in the Santa suit, pinned to the ground by the neighbor's German Shepherd, and little Tabitha peering out of the back seat window. The neighbor explained he was just finishing walking his dog when he saw this guy dressed as Santa running out of the house, holding this little girl, and heard her say, "Let me go. I don't know you, mister. I want to go back inside with my mommy." He heard the Santa say, "Be quiet, little one. I'm going to take you home and give you milk and cookies," then stuffed her in the back seat and closed the door. Then the neighbor said he approached the man in the suit and said, "What's going on here? What are you doing with this child?" He said the man just looked at him and smiled, then attacked. His dog helped protect him and get this crazed Santa to the ground. Everyone thanked the neighbor over and over for preventing Tabitha from being taken. Then we got Tabitha out of the back seat, brought her inside, and called the police. While waiting for the cops to show up, we heard a moaning sound coming from behind the brick wall next to the front door. My uncle and a few of the older cousins went back there to see what it was, and in the shadows, it was Pete, dressed in his Santa suit. He had been knocked out by this crazed Santa. Pete said he got here when he was supposed to, parked his car, got out, went to the trunk to get the bag of stuffed animals, closed it, and started up the driveway to the front door. Then all of a sudden he heard a laugh and felt a blow to the back of his head. Just then the cops showed up and arrested this mad Santa. It turns out the Santa's real name was Charles Bartow. It was explained to us he escaped a prison bus that was transporting him from a mental facility to a maximum security prison. When the bus blew a tire and rolled off the side of the road into a ditch, he had just been given the death penalty for murdering his entire family on Christmas Eve, 2 years prior. Once he escaped the wreckage, he made his way to the nearest town, ambushed a mall Santa on his way back to his car, killed him, stole his suit, and stuffed him in the trunk. That was 2 weeks and 2 states ago. He just got into Las Vegas the day of our party, stopped at a gas station and saw Pete putting gas in his car, and decided to follow him either for a new car or a new suit. He then waited for Pete to get out and get the things from the trunk, then ambushed him from behind and threw him behind the brick wall. He has a demented fascination with Christmas, the police said, and that we were all very lucky. Lucky that the neighbor was there to save Tabitha, and lucky no one was killed. They said the large gathering probably helped that. Yes, we were lucky, but no matter how you slice it, things were never the same again, and our wonderful family tradition never took place again. Thanks, Psycho Santa. Christmas Yet to Come by Queen of Scots. Twice in my life, I've managed to avert disaster because of a Christmas Eve dream. Both dreams started with a tall, hooded figure pointing at something I'm supposed to watch. The first dream came when I was 14, a car crash. I woke with a vague sense of unease and told my parents I didn't want to go to last-minute shopping with them. The crash killed them instantly. Devastated, I went to live with my aunt. The dream figure appeared again when I was 20, staying in a crappy little apartment in the city. This dream was about an explosion, and so real I felt heat baking me, even as I jolted awake. Full of dread, I grabbed a few things and ran out into the cold, dark Christmas morning. By the time I reached my aunt's house, it was on the news. A fire had blown through my apartment building, killing 7 people. That was exactly 2 years ago. The guilt is awful, but really, who would have believed me had I tried to warn them? And now, it's 4 a.m. Christmas morning. I had a dream last night, and I'm reminded of Ebenezer Scrooge and his 3 Christmas warnings from dream ghosts. This time, my dream ghost showed me a devastated world. Whole cities laid bare by fire, a scorched and ashen planet. I saw not one living thing, plant nor animal, in this terrible vision. Ebenezer knew just what to do when he woke Christmas morning, to change his life and those of the people around him for the better. But despite my dream warning, I don't know where to begin to change things. Santa's helpers. Gather around the fire, children. Grandpa has a very important story to tell you. Now, you all know about Santa and his reindeer, and that he leaves presents for all the good girls and boys, but only to them. This story is what happens to all the bad children and what they receive and experience on Christmas morning. Now there's different versions all over the world, even different versions in certain parts of the country. But if you're bad throughout the year, it isn't Santa who will pay you a visit and fill your stockings with goodies and leave the presents you asked for under the tree. No, one of his evil helpers will be sent in his place to leave you a more fitting gift to reward you for your naughty behavior. This is what truly happens. There's no coal that he leaves. Don't believe that nicety. He doesn't even bother with the naughty children anymore. Instead, he sends these foul creatures and beings that would make Krampus look like a moist puppy. First on the list is England. The naughty children there are visited by a being called Black Billy, a tiny wee gentleman, elf-like creature, dressed in black leather, carrying a whip, and rides to your house on a black goat with 6 unusually large teats. Unsuspecting children are greeted with the squeaky sounds of leather as his tiny boots approach their back door. That's right, their back door. He doesn't go down their chimney like old Saint Nick. Once he jostles the door open with his sharpened candy cane, he then creeps into the naughty child's room with a smile and tells them to follow him downstairs so he can give them their gifts and treats. But once that foot hits the bottom stair, he informs them that they were on the naughty list, and he was sent by Santa to punish them. First, he takes them to the kitchen, where he offers them cookies and milk, except the milk comes from the goat's rancid old teats, which he milks right in front of them, and pulls some fresh cookies from the goat's back oven, which are fresh and hot, right out of the anus. Ho, 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 he says to them, laughing sinisterly. 2 sights I'm sure they'll never forget. He then hands them their stockings and presents, filled with every pet or animal remains that have died in the house they're living in. Then hops up on his goat and squirts one last squirt on the floor from his rancid teat, and warns them to behave or he'll return next Christmas, then rides off into the darkness, his leather fading away. Next up is Austria, where naughty children are visited by Jacob, the Christmas Viper. He'll magically appear wherever the home's cleaning supplies are found. When he arrives, he'll glide up to the children's bedroom and wake them with a peppermint and pine tree scented spray of Lysol right underneath their nostrils. When they awake, they see a gentleman dressed in all white, gliding around their room on a Swiffer jet sweep, powered by the tears of naughty children past. He says he's been sent by Santa. As the children become excited, he summons them downstairs with promises of presents and treats. Once downstairs, he hands them rice cakes, circa 1998, for a treat, and a glass of warm tap water to wash it down. Then places the children's presents on their laps only after they had their Christmas treats. And when they open their presents, they're greeted with old used towelettes and dried up wet naps from years past. If the children have been very naughty, the children have been given an old, extremely used dishcloth to suck on, while Jacob watches and proceeds to clean off the child's hands and feet until the skin comes off. He tells the children they were very naughty this year, and he was sent by Santa to clean up their act. He then bows and squirts one more splash of festive juice, and then glides off on his painted Swiffer. Next up on the list, "Excuse me, Dad. Is this tale almost finished? I have to put the kids to bed." "No, I still have many regions to go." "They need to go to bed, and I don't want you scaring the kids." Fine. I'll speed through the rest and save the best for last." There's Felista in Mexico, a creature that awakens the children with their parents' screams, because it's sawing off their parents' private parts with their razor-sharp teeth. Talk about stocking stuffers. Then there's Pinus, the Christmas spruce, that's found in any heavily wooded area around the world. Pinus comes to life around Christmas and devours the Christmas presents and regurgitates them back all over the living room floor. Careful of the pets, though. It's said steaming chunks of Puss and Rover have been coughed up as well. "Dad, that's enough now. You're frightening them." All right. I'm at the end. And this one is right here, kids. This creature takes care of most of the northern part of the Midwest. His name is Stoolzabub, the evil demon of shit and excrements. You see, this legend's name became somewhat popular not far from here, when a cult sacrificed themselves and a couple of virgins in a bus terminal in the 80s. But Stoolzabub has been in the shadows for much longer. Santa has never been afraid to call on Stoolzabub. He'll come up through the toilet, sometimes solid, sometimes liquid. All depends on the previous night's family meal. He comes in an array of colors, and mostly a combination of brown, dark black, and green. Trust me, you'll know he's there before you lay eyes on him. And this is the one creature where you know you must have been naughty this year. No confusion over this one. Stoolzabub doesn't make courtesy calls, or flushes, for that matter. He'll summon you downstairs with a friendly moist tap on the shoulder, leaving a fresh brown smudge on your shoulder. He'll wave you down the steps and point you towards the tree. You can smell 1,000 years of funk wafting through the air. Don't bother with the Febreze plug-ins. They will only flicker and go out, causing an electrical fire. Try not to pass out from the fumes. They're only 1,000 years of chamber pots and sewage delights from the history of man. If your nostrils were strong enough and you made it down the stairs, Stoolzabub will have you take a seat by the tree. There, you will see your Christmas tree has changed. It now smells like 100 deceased colons and is completely wet, dripping with what Grandpa calls Hershey squirts. As you're sitting there contemplating life's choices, Stoolzabub hands you a Christmas treat. A homemade platter of his caramel salty fudge, only to be described as droppings from the gods. And to wash it down, he hands you a mug of brown liquid goodness, odious and steamy, with a nutty flavor, they say. Think of a Forever Rocher,
just the ass version. After you've had your meal, a present is placed on your lap, still leaking from the demon's cheeks, and straight into your hands. Your present is whatever you ask for, except in shit form. Imagine, instead, getting a tickle the shit out of me Elmo, or a crappy patch doll, maybe some figures from the masters of the Crapiverse, maybe some Ninja Turtles. This will put a twist on some Lincoln Logs. Stulzabub will stand there for a moment, basking in his accomplishments, give you a quick, squishy salute, warn you to never be naughty again, or he'll come back next time, double the shits. Before he heads back to the toilet, he reaches around and grabs a brown candle from his stink hole, places it on the fireplace mantel, and lights it. Something for the family to enjoy throughout Christmas Day. He then sledges off to the toilet and flushes himself and disappears. So I hope you've been good, children. There's still time. Brush your teeth, do your chores, listen to Mom, because I know one thing, damn it. I don't want to smell that shit candle for Christmas.
Santa's helpers return. Well, kids, we're back again. Gather around and let me continue my list of Santa's minions that will visit you if you've been naughty girls and boys. Sadly, you did not heed my warnings, and some of you were visited by the Big Three, all in one night. While impressive your debauchery is, I for one don't want to spend Christmas morning and day smelling that brown-lit candle again, especially while I'm eating my Christmas meal. You don't want to have to guzzle Black Billy's goat's festive udder juice again, do you? Or chow down on his goat's colon cookies? And I especially know you don't want Stulzabub prancing around here again, leaving his sledge tidings on whatever he touches. No, thank you, young squires and squirettes. I will not let my beautiful Christmas tree turned into a swampy, moist, fudge-dripping atrocity ever again. So pay attention, kids, because Gramps isn't effing around this year. First we have up Le Stench Dior, a perfumer from the streets of Paris that Santa sends to the naughty girls and boys of the region. She does not bring coal, however. Instead, she brings her tiny helper, Pierre, the evil elf baker, and his centuries-old baguettes and French Revolution-era croissants. They stand and ridicule you as they watch you try and gnaw on these relic pieces of baked goods. Then Madame Lestench brings out her special line of seasonal perfumes and gives each naughty child a spritz so that everyone will know that they were especially bad this year. She has many scents to choose from. Her disposal. Her particular favorite, however, is a bottle of Eau de Vagine by Dior, a scent combination of a fisherman's wharf and a bed of decaying roses, a scent that will truly singe the nostrils. While this is her favorite, she also might hit you with the old Ode de Santa's Yule-log by Paco Rabanne. This comes in two different scents. One is a combination of old rotten Gruyere cheese and a sweaty gym sock belonging to a deceased jogger, and the other smells like a combination of a bathroom belonging to a large family after a hearty Christmas dinner, and a bed of daisies that have been sitting under a cow's undercarriage on an open field, baking in the warm summer sun. So children,
shed a tear for all the Pierres and Pierrettes, and hope Madame Lestench can come here to visit you. Next up is Gerwig, the demented milkmaid, and chocolatier, who Santa sends to terrorize the wee children of Denmark. She's freaky, and she's sneaky. Once again, coal will not be what these children are given. Instead, they will be forced to chug down a special brew of milk from her cow Bertha's deformed, sinister teats. It tastes of evil and thick dairy from 100 Christmases past. You'll truly know what it is like to drink what your ancestors drank from the old country, except rotted. Then, if her rotten dairy products weren't bad enough, she then comes at you with her fine Danish chocolates, except there's nothing fine about them. The recipe is provided by your friend and mine, everyone's favorite, Stoolzabub, another one of Santa's minions. A delectable combination of evil and funk is enrobed in these chocolates, and they're delivered by the Flying Dutchman, a demented deceased Danish pirate who shoots down your chimney, then hovers over your stockings and proceeds to wiggle, jiggle, shimmy and shake the chocolates from his seaworthy bunghole, almost in a rhythmic, festive, holiday-appropriate dance. Some would even say a prance. There the children watch in real time as their stockings become filled and lumpy from the old rogue seafarer's logs. A smell is said to permeate the room shortly after, only to be described as rancid fish water from the open sea, and the ever so unmistaking smell of the old familiar funkin' ass. Let me tell you, little bastards, something. You best be on your best behavior and hope this evil chocolate pirate can't hop on a ship and pay you a visit. So there you have it, children. A couple more of Santa's evil helpers to add to the list. Well, yes, there is more. We'll get to those later. All I know is you all better behave yourselves, listen to your parents, say your prayers, and be respectful, because I don't want a repeat of last year. I don't want this home smelling of disgusting fragrances from the Madame's stench, and I don't want any of those Dutch ladies' rancid milk or chocolates found around this home for me to mistakenly ingest. Grandpa's old, and I don't want to keel over from a heart attack. And please, to all that is holy, I can't take another brown lit candle. Not today, demon. I would like to give a heartfelt thank you to the special friends of the channel for your overwhelming generosity. If you would like to support the channel, the link is below in the description. Also, please send me your stories and poems to duchessofdarkness27@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram at duchess.ofdarkness and Twitter at duchessofdark_N2. I want to thank all my listeners for your kindness, your encouragement, and your support. It means the world to me. Thank you for joining me. Until next time.